Good morning, everyone. I'm Juveria, your host for the session today. I hope everyone is doing well, and I would like to once again, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Juveria, your host for the session today, and it is my pleasure to welcome you all to this free faculty development program on teaching and learning in higher and professional education, the challenges and opportunities, which has been organized by the Institute for Engineering Research and Technology, IFERP. So I hope everyone is able to hear me. So let us go ahead with the session. Before we start the session, I would like to say a few words about this faculty development program and why are we holding this today. Now, higher education has focused on adopting emerging digital technologies for teaching and learning in recent years. The technology changes in empowering skills of students, assessments in teaching and learning has started to evolve from traditional to more alternative and finally to digital assessment. For example, augmented reality and learning analytics are becoming more and more popular in assessments. After a comprehensive literature review, this faculty development program explains their opportunities and challenges for both faculty and learners. To say a few words about IFERP, Institute of Engineering Research and Publication, IFERP is one of the world's largest non-profitable professional association meant for research development and promotion in the field of engineering technology. IFERP collaborates with universities, institutions, organizations, and other associations to share their experience, knowledge, and researchers by organizing conferences, meetings, summits, guest lectures, and workshops. IFERP have started its dedicated journey by organizing international conferences and global workshops. IFERP is organizing the standard events in different institutions, universities, and conventions to provide scope for scientific interactions in the field of engineering, science, and technology to technically budding researchers from across the world. Now, it gives me immense pleasure and it is my honor to introduce our honorable speaker for the day, Dr. Indranil Bose. We have invited him for the talk of the day today. Thank you, sir, for coming to our session. To say a few words about our speaker, Dr. Indranil Bose is the head of faculty at the School of Business in University of Bolton, UAE Academic Center. His key research interests are employee relations, international human resource management, human resource development. He has obtained PhD in management, industrial relations and HR strategy in a predominantly labor-intensive industry from the Tirthankar Mahavir University, Moradabad in 2013. He also holds a postgraduate certificate in teaching and learning in professional and higher education. He is having more than 20 years experience of teaching, education and research and is also a member of the advisory council of the Harvard Business Review. He has received many notable awards such as MTC Global Distinguished Teacher Award in 2016 and Best Teacher Award in General Management in 2012. Sir, and to all the participants, once again, I would like to welcome you all. And as you can see, we've had a very high profile speaker for you today. Now, I would like to invite our speaker to present his keynote address for the day. Doctor, the floor is all yours.
Good afternoon, everybody. I think I'm audible. Today, actually, my
Doctor, I'm sorry.
I'm audible,
but your voice is not clear. If you could...
Okay, let me.
Yeah, your audio is not clear.
So now it is clear. Now it is clear or not clear? I think.
No, doctor, it is not yet clear. Sorry, you lost your audio now.
Okay, fine. I think it's fine now. Okay. Today I'll be speaking a little bit about because I have been given half an hour time, and half an hour time means I'll not be able to cover almost a lot of things, but definitely I'll be trying to quickly wind it off. When I'm talking about teaching and learning higher professional education, what kind of challenges and opportunities we are facing in recent times, I'll not be focusing on the very very limited, well talked and much talked online education, all these things, because lot of people, yes.
Sorry, doctor. Yeah, could you just remove your headphones, please?
And you will not be able to listen to me actually.
Now
Okay.
it is clear actually, and we can actually like hear you very clearly now.
Okay, fine, great. These are things actually I'll be talking about, because my area of giving this small presentation is on a few things which we have regularly practiced in our universities abroad, and many of the Indian universities and institutions of higher learning, they're also following this same thing. Like curriculum mapping, like some key practices of better learning environment, the creation of the better learning environment, then Bloom's taxonomy, all those things. I don't know how much I will be able to cover today, but let me let me start this thing with the one thing, that is a curriculum mapping, which is very important from different perspectives. I'll be highlighting 2 or 3 things of that. First of all, what is curriculum mapping? Curriculum mapping is, see, always we come to know that in many parts of India or many parts outside India also, that our graduates or postgraduates are not employable in industry. Okay, mainly in the management education, professional education, education in the field of engineering and other things. Okay, let's say around 25-26% people are only employable in India who are graduated in engineering and other things. Okay, now see, this employability is a major issue in professional and higher education across the globe. Definitely, in some country it is very high, some country it is not so high. Okay, what the major approach which the foreign universities, even a lot of universities in India in recent years, they are approaching is that the curriculum mapping. What is curriculum mapping? Curriculum mapping can be done in 2 different ways, in 2 different approaches. One approach is called as is known as, say, where you go for you're mapping your courses, mapping your learning objectives, learning your course objectives. You are making it in such a manner that the students of different levels of mental competency and the maturity, they can understand, they can grab, they can learn, they can how to apply all those things they learn in their real life and in their professional field. That is a major one. The other one is that there are a lot of professional organizations across the globe. Okay, yes, I'm telling you, in India, take example, in India, chartered, CA, CS, cost accountancy, in marketing, there are a lot of professional bodies are there. Okay, so abroad, outside India, there are a lot of professional organizations and the bodies, they offer the professional qualifications. Like I am from management discipline, I know, like say the CIPD, you might be knowing that, the Chartered Institute of Personal Development, this is a UK-based chartered body for the HR professionals, okay, which is very prestigious actually. Okay, even if you're a CIPD qualified professional, even if you don't have the MBA qualification also, but still you will be preferred in many of the top-notch multinational companies to get your job in the managerial roles or the executive roles like that. Okay, CIPD. Maybe same like that the CIM is there in the UK, Chartered Institute of Marketing, Chartered Institute of Logistics and Supply Chain. A lot of professional bodies are there. In US also a lot of professional bodies are there. Okay, now when we are talking about this kind of professional qualifications, if you are going to map your qualification with these professional qualifications, your regular degree courses with these professional qualifications, definitely your employability, because we have seen in most of the university degree programs, we say that, okay, we are making our program very much practical, we are making our programs, course size designs in a very much, application oriented way, but still there is a major gap. Okay, what exactly industry is requiring? Many of the institutions say, okay, we have the course. I know in India there are certain business schools, so they say our courses are approved or endorsed by CEOs. Absolutely great. But exactly, is it a formal approach? Okay, some of the business schools will be talking that our courses are approved and endorsed by the CEOs. Some of the business schools will be saying, maybe the university or the business school, their courses are endorsed by the CEOs, but they are not, the owner of the business school or the chancellor of the university might have some great legacy of the industrial or the corporate experience with him or her. But not all the business schools do have that. Okay, now in that case, for a standard practice, I'm taking this example. I am teaching in the UK university system for last almost 9 years. I have seen that one thing that in most of the UK university system, they have certain requirements like most of their programs are mapped with the professional bodies. Okay, whether it's an engineering field or say accounting field or say business management field, whatever. It's a psychology field, like say I am teaching in the University of Bolton now, and our program, our psychology program, that's an example. Our psychology programs are actually mapped with the British Psychology Society, okay, which is one of the most prestigious in the world. So we have level 3, level 4, level 5, level 6, level 7, this kind of level we follow in the UK system, in the Western country system. Okay, level 3, level 4 means level 3 is the foundation, level 4 is something which is, you can say the first year of the BBA or the BA or the BSc or the BCom program or the BSc management program. Level 7 is the postgraduate program, something like that. Same way when you go for the British Psychology Society or the CIPD or the CIA, all these kind of bodies are there, also have the same kind of levels. Okay, so when we make our curriculum, for the university degrees, so many of the mapping is being done in such a way so that when the students are completing our degree courses, either bachelor's degree or the master's degree, either in engineering or in business management or in psychology or in even law also. Okay, so what they are doing actually, they are actually already become competent, or equally their course is already mapped with the professional qualifications what the other institutions or the organizations are offering. Okay, so when these students are getting trying for employability abroad or employability in the multinational companies, they when they plan, okay, let me go for the CIPT level 7 qualification. Okay, for that maybe they have to clear maybe 120 credit courses, already 80 credit or 90 credit, already they're finished with their master's degree in their university degree program. So it is a great advantage for them. Only maybe 10 or 20 credit they have to complete and clear, and then automatically they will be becoming CIPT level 7 qualified as well as MBA. Okay, so you understand that when you are CIPD qualified, same like that thing can be done in India, because we have some very preferred, and let's say, for example, many of you might be from the HR or the marketing or the different professional bodies, like NHRD is there, a lot of things are there in India, might be, but we don't have the chartered qualifications in the HR, marketing, finance, all these areas. Finance is there, definitely there, okay, but not all the areas, like supply chain, logistics, we don't have the chartered qualification in India. So these are actually industry endorsed in real sense. It is not only that I have a contact with industry and 80 and 90 CEOs of the industry from the big and small and medium-sized companies that are endorsing our courses, and that means our courses become industry ready. Okay, it's fine, we accept it, but it does not talk about the standard practice. That's why curriculum mapping has become very important in nowadays in the international higher education. Okay, you see, apart from that, based on these curriculum mapping and all these things, even a lot of international accreditations have been happening in the international market. Okay, say like WCSB or AMBA or all this kind of thing, which is very common in international market. In India, there are only 17 business schools. They are offering the WCSB accredited MBA programs. Okay, there are only around 5 or 6 business schools in India, which are most of them are IIMs and top-notch business schools in India. They're triple crowned actually, AMBA, WCSB and all these things. While they're doing it also abroad, outside India, in many of the other business schools across the globe, they also take the help of the advantage of this kind of professional mapping of the courses. That's very important. So this is one aspect. The other aspect is that, so for that they create a particular curriculum committee or the curriculum board where they talk with the professional organizations and they do it in a better way. So it's a very interesting development. It's a challenging one, definitely. Okay, you are actually maybe a British university or an Italian university or a German university or something like that. Now, when you are trying to map your curriculum with an American qualification or American chartered qualification, something like that, or maybe you're an American university or an Indian university or a Japanese university or a Chinese university, when you are planning to map your curriculum with the this international awarding bodies, okay, or the professional organizations. So definitely challenge is there, because there are certain things which may not be mapped also. Okay, their credit system and the credit system of your own university might be different, but how to map it, that is very important to learn. A lot of experimentation, a lot of researches are being done, and many of the universities, when they are going for the collaboration program, twinning program internationally, it has become very important. It has become important, because see, in my university where I'm teaching, University of Bolton, we have the twinning program of approximately with 20-25 universities, and we have the credit sharing program also. Okay, in the bachelor's degree, master's degree, and other things also. Now, when I'm talking about all these things, when we have done the twinning system, because now in our bachelor's degree and the master's degree program, we also have a different kind of certain levels of, like say, our accounting program. So it is actually SCCA map. So our students who are completing their BSc accounting program or MSc accounting program, they almost 90% to 95% of their courses are covering actually the SCCA curriculum. Now, by the SCCA route, they are getting wonderful job opportunities across the globe, because SCCA is the internationally benchmark qualification. You understand that? Now, so this is the way, is one of the approaches, I should not say it's everything, one of the major approaches that can help the courses to be more employable in the industry. Many of the universities, maybe in India, are trying it, okay, but not all the universities are doing it, okay. So this is the thing, because there are a lot of issues involved in it. We don't have the competency to map all these programs in a proper way, like that kind of way. Okay. Now when we are talking about the other way, the curriculum mapping, when you talk about the curriculum mapping, say, mostly we have to map our curriculum according to the levels of learning. What are the purpose and objective levels of learning? This is a major challenge, because levels of learning can be different. The purpose of learning can be different in different countries, in different geographies. That's very important. Okay. Now, when we talk about, but there are certain basic principles, basic fundamentals, which must be followed, or can be followed across the globe. No, the challenges are there. Okay, like we talk about the interdisciplinary coherence, we talk about the subject area wise coherence, we talk about the horizontal coherence, we talk about the vertical coherence. Okay, when we talk about the coherence basically it is a logically sequenced and logically related areas which are being covering. Say, when you are teaching somebody as the interdisciplinary coherence, so you talk about there are certain basic requirements are there which are applicable to every subject at a certain level. Like say, we teach in our university system, call it reading and writing skill. It's very important. I have been examiner of many of the degrees, degree programs and in the master's degree and all those things in India. I've seen that thing. Say a simple one example. There are certain basic requirements which are missing in even at the very good business schools. Like say, their writing and reading skills are missing. Okay, students do not know what is referencing. Students do not know how to avoid the plagiarism. Students do not know what are the meaning of the different things. Like that, say, when you talk about the evaluate something or explain something or assess something or describe something, when you talk about something like that, say, they do not know the basic differences between all these things. But it's a very important component, because they have to write a report when they will be joining the industry. They have to deliver a lot of other things. Okay, so reading and writing skills, so technology skills, and different ethical requirements, okay, compliances, the common things which are the interdisciplinary coherence. Whether you are studying at the level 3 or level 4 or level 5, whether studying at a bachelor's degree or the master's degree or above also. Okay, that's why you see in recent times the University Grants Commission has come up with the new, I think 2 years back, 2-3 years back, has come up with the new area that where we're talking about say new PhD regulation, that where the ethical research and all those things have become very important. Okay, so that's why they have created the portal where all the PhD theses actually are being deposited, and before allowing anybody to submit the final thesis or something like that, everything can be checked, cross-checked, something like that, which was completely unthinkable before. Now, even with the PhD level students, we see the reading and the writing skills are not there that much. Okay, it's a major problem now. Okay, and it is not a major problem in India, it's a major problem across the globe, because you see, in international universities, the foreign universities, a lot of students are coming from the background of the educational background of the countries where they actually are not being properly trained on the reading and the writing skills, technology skills, referencing skills, critical thinking skills, which is become very important nowadays, like that. Okay, these are the very basic type of skills which must be taught, which must must be say delivered to the students, transferred to the students when they are studying, they are writing, anything like that. Okay, so because see, if you ask somebody, I have seen some kind of say dissertation or the research project report in India, and also I've seen it outside also. Okay, because I'm staying outside India for almost 9 years. I've seen a lot of things here. Now in India also, maybe in the top-notch business schools, maybe in IIMs and all these things, it's different thing. But when you're talking about the mediocre business schools, we have seen the very mediocre, very low mediocre type of the research projects actually. Okay, there is nothing literature review, nothing as such, anything like that. There is no consistent way of the referencing scale. Maybe definitely, I'm not talking about top-notch business schools. Definitely they teach all these things. It must be okay. But these things are very common. That's called the interdisciplinary coherence. Now, when you talk about the subject-wise coherence means say when we are seeing that one particular subject has different areas. Like say when it's studying the marketing in the management, in marketing maybe having different areas. We have the behavioral side of marketing, which is called consumer behavior. We have the sensory branding. We have a lot of things actually there. Now, when you are teaching different aspects of marketing, different aspects of HR by different faculty members, definitely they will be having their independent way of teaching. It actually makes a teaching profession a great profession because it gives you the autonomy. Okay, but there should be some kind of coherence. That's very important, because maybe one faculty member who is teaching one area of marketing or one area of finance or one area of operations, one area of HR in a particular way, which is more intensive, more say knowledge oriented, more application oriented. The other faculty member who is teaching the another area of marketing or HR or operations or finance or something like that. Okay, so there should be a coherence among that. That's called the subject-wise coherence, which is very important. Okay, otherwise what will happen? So when the student will be going to one professor's class, the professor will be giving the big lectures and will be imparting the knowledge on very high level of things and something like that. The particular basic foundation, the requirement of the students might not have developed because the other professor is teaching something else which is not at par with the other professor who is teaching at a very high level. Okay, so coherence is very important. Okay, mainly in the science discipline also, in the commerce discipline also, in computer science also, everywhere, whether it is a theoretical subject or a practical subject, okay, you have to maintain certain coherence. That's why internal subject-wise coherence is very important. That's why when the courses are being designed in the top of business schools, I mean, they always look into this particular subjects. Okay, even anybody who's involved in the applications process also, they have to deal with this kind of thing always. Okay, now horizontal coherence and the vertical coherence. Horizontal coherence is basically when you are talking about assessing a student through the different assessment methods. Okay, what we talk about the continuous evaluation or say the formative assessment or something like that. Okay, now in that case, how you are talking about the different coherences of the same kind of policy, same kind of strategy, same kind of intensity, same kind of integrity, same kind of complication. Okay, how we are following all these patterns. You talk about the vertical coherence. Vertical coherence means what? Say, take example which is very much well addressed by the Bloom's taxonomy. Okay, where maybe when you are going to teach somebody at the bachelor's degree level 4 maybe. Now the level 5 is the higher level, level 6 is a more higher level. So what are the basic things or the basic learning outcome, basic learning objective should be there in the case of the level 4. And once the level 4 is completed, then student is expected to be developed certain kind of knowledge and the competency to learn the higher level, the advanced level, level 5, level 6, level 7, like that. The first year, second year, third year, bachelor's degree, master's degree, like that. Okay, that's very important. The foundation must be very strong. That's why the learning outcomes must be coherent with each other at different levels, and that's why we talk about different other areas. Okay, which is very important. Now, I have just developed this particular thing for another presentation, but I'm quickly sharing with it. So in our university system in UK or like that, okay, in many other places also, in US also, they in Australia also, this kind of process is very common. Like say, when we go for the mapping, for the professional mapping of the courses, so that our students become more employable, not only in their own country but in the international market. Okay, so take example BA and BSc management first year level 3. So we also go for the CIPD, CIM, CILSC, SCCA at their level 3. Okay, when you go for the BA, BBA, BSc Management second year, they will go for the CIPD, CIM, CILSC, SCCA at their level 4, like that. Okay, when you go for the MBA first year and second year, we in UK system we have only 14 months MBA usually. We don't have the 2 years MBA. Okay, so you understand that. So when you map our courses in level 7 and level 6, okay, so usually in that case also we go for this kind of thing, like many level 7 basically. So when you go for the CIPD level 7 or CIM level 7 or CILSC level 7 or SCCA level 7, like this. Okay, so it actually not only makes the students learn the subject, but also it makes them employable, because this professional qualifications or the professional organizations, when they develop and design their curriculum, it is completely based on application oriented, industry oriented. So when you are already an MBA or a bachelor's degree holder in some of the subjects like that, okay, and your qualification is already mapped with the CIPD and something like that, and you will be getting the, if you plan for the CIPD qualification separately or along with that particular qualification university degree program. So when you are coming out of that, definitely what will happen, so we'll see, say your employability will always be better than many of the students who are coming from straight away from the university degree programs only, without any professional orientation, something like that. Yes, we know they are going for industry visit, we know a lot of things are being done in business management, in engineering, a lot of places, okay, but mapping is very important because these organizations are considered globally as the industry ready qualifications. Okay, that's very important. Okay, we know maybe in executive MBA also, which is very common in abroad in foreign countries, but we see there are different things which are people already coming with some of examples, some of the experiences they're already having, but still what are the recent trends, like say some of you are talking about analytics and all those things. Okay, how the analytics can be used? Analytics can be taught in the classroom, definitely. Okay, you can teach a lot of things in the classroom, but when you're talking about applying those things, if you map your curriculum with the CIPD or the CIMO or CIPD in the marketing analytics or CIM in the marketing analytics or something like that, because their curriculum is industry ready, internationally standard. So people will not doubt your qualification. People will always think, okay, this guy knows this thing. He or she is ready to apply all this in industry, which is very important to make it employable. Okay, which is very important. Now we are talking about there are very few things which are maybe applied in India also now. I know that is called a formative assessment rather than a summative assessment. Formative assessment is a continuous assessment which is being done, but in the case of formative assessment, it's a teaching learning process of both the learner and the faculty members. Like say when you are giving somebody some assignment, so which part of the assignment is mapped with which part of the learning outcomes of the course outcomes. That's very important. Okay. Because we have seen many of the average business schools or the universities they do not take the assessment as seriously as it should be taken. Okay, like see assessment is taking, okay, we have to divide the 100% marks into 4 components. One is the assessment, one is the presentation, one is the examination, one is the midterm, one is the final term. Okay, end term, whatever like that. Now when you go for the formative assessment, talking about that, see in that case when you talk about teaching learning process, maybe 25% weight is given the assessment. In that maybe you are having the 2 assessment. Okay, one is the report, one is the essay. Maybe one is talking about the report, 2,500 words report and 1,500 words essay. Now when you are talking about that, so the most important part is that how you can say relate these assessments with their learning outcomes. Okay, because it's a purely about outcome-based learning, outcome-based course curriculum development. Okay, so here you have to learning outcome, assessment criteria, all these things have been built. Any student who is actually able to achieve what learning outcomes, which are the learning outcomes have not been achieved in the assignment, when it is being done by the faculty member also, or what kind of practices should be there, what should be the suggested evidence, means what kind of components, what kind of approach. I'm telling you one example, like say, see here in many of the foreign universities, even in India also, I know Narsi Monji and many of the business schools, big business schools, they do it also. Okay, say when you talk about the assessment mapping with the learning outcomes and the course objectives, whatever like that, see they talk about, say there are certain assessment criteria which is very common in the Western education system. Okay, now assessment criteria is talking about, say there are learning outcomes, maybe there are 6 learning outcomes, so 7 learning outcomes in the entire course, entire module, entire subject you are teaching. Maybe you are teaching them, say CRM. relationship management. Now, in that case, maybe there are 7 or 8 learning outcomes. Now, out of 7 learning outcomes, maybe a learning outcome 1, 3, 5, and 9. These are for learning outcomes which are covering the assignment. Assignment means, assessment means we're talking about, say, there are certain things which has to be followed there. Okay, maybe out of that, you are talking about 2 learning outcomes you're mapping with this report and to the essay, something like that. Definitely essay and the report, how to write all those things, what are the difference on that. Definitely the course, the faculties must have to teach those things in the class also. They have to show the styles and all those things. Okay, now when you are talking about all these kind of things, so learning outcomes can be how you can understand that student has achieved those learning outcomes. So for that, we are talking about the assessment criteria. We call it SE in the UK and the US and the Australian and the Canadian system. Okay, now SE actually can be the pass criteria, can be merit criteria, and SE criteria. Now, in that SE, okay, how to achieve the pass criteria, what will be your writing standard? What are the indicative content? What are the topic will be covering in that particular area? What are the how you will be writing this? This is a simple example. Maybe if you say, okay, evaluate the CRM effectiveness of the CRM practices in a chosen organization. So, if it is a learning outcome, so based on learning outcome, we are giving this task. Okay. Now, evaluate the effectiveness of the CRM practices in a chosen organization. Now, when we are talking about this thing, if you are going to get the pass criteria only, so you are writing straight away, okay, the importance of CRM, the development, the meaning of the CRM and other things. Now, when you are talking about the merit one, so in that case, you may have to choose one real life example. Take example of a company, maybe the service sector or the manufacturing sector, how they are implementing the CRM, what kind of technology they are using for the CRM, what kind of man and machine dimension is there. Okay, that is, and here you are writing about that. For the distinction one, you have to write the evaluation of the CRM practices, okay, made by or adopted by one company or whatever company you have chosen, manufacturing or the service. So this is the way. Now, evaluate on certain parameters. Through the evaluation of certain parameters like that, see, here you are giving in detailed information like that, customer retention, customer satisfaction, or how kind of thing. You have to give the real life example. So this is the way. So pass, rate, and distinction criteria. So it is also written in the suggested evidence in the assessment brief. Like that, say what you are supposed to write if you want to get the pass criteria, what you are supposed to cover if you are supposed to get the merit criteria. This is a way we should be doing it. Yes, definitely it is an appropriate learning process for both the students and both the faculty members, because in the executive MBA programs or the PGPX programs or the executive degree programs, already people are coming from industry. They're coming with their experiences. That makes the faculty member more enriched to learn by reading this kind of thing. And when I am saying somebody has attempted the merit distinction criteria, but what you expect from the answer is not being given. So you can downgrade the answer from the distinction to the merit also. You said it has been, though attempt is fine, but it has not been covered. These things, it is the answer is kind of lacking in the report. So it is not being considered for the distinction, but for the merit only. So when you are giving the full detailed feedback, it is also making you competent. Definitely your class size should be less, smaller. Okay, not is a 60, 70, 100. Okay, if it is a 60 students, this must be shared by 2 or 3 faculty members. They will be doing it. Okay, so this is the way, and for that a proper learning system must be developed in the university. It's a very important one. Okay, then the next one is that wherever you are teaching, what kind of programs you are teaching, localization and the internationalization of the course learning experience must be there. We are very easy to have the international learning experience because we are teaching the students from different countries. Around 70 countries, students are studying in our campuses in UAE. Okay, now they are coming with the different things. Like I taught one module like change management. I gave them certain options like that, say what kind of change management process and the policies actually are being adopted by a chosen organization. Somebody came out with a wonderful experience from their country. So even I did not know the name of the company earlier also. Like one South African lady was there. She gave the example of Coherence. Coherence is one of the budget airlines of South Africa. It's actually okay. So how Coherence actually has come and gone for this kind of change management initiatives and the rank and file, people, planet, and planet and profit approach. Whatever they have done, it technological adoption, change management theories, everything they have. So another student has come from UAE itself. They have come with maybe the Emirates NBD Bank, okay, the UAE based bank. Some student has come from Pakistan, so the student has come up with the Pakistani experience. So that actually makes the class very much enriched, okay. And whatever example, whatever type of things we are sharing, so we also try to make the presentation of the student. So when a student from India is looking at the example of South African example, when a South African student is looking at the example of Maldives or from New Zealand or from Russia, like that, okay, it is actually a wonderful experience. People love that actually. Okay, so that also in the case of the localization approach, it is localization plus internationalization, because the students who are coming from different countries, you can also do it same thing in the classroom. Maybe you are teaching in maybe your university or students based in Bangalore. No, it is not required that all the examples should come from Bangalore based industries only. Somebody has come from Bengal, somebody has come from somebody has come from Maharashtra, somebody has come from Chennai. Okay, so they can bring their own example in the classrooms when you are sharing it. So that will make your classroom class discussions more vibrant, more learning oriented. Okay. Like personally, I have learned a lot of things from the international students. Now, different learning styles we have seen there. So when you talk about different, some of the students are happy to learn in different other ways. So you have to take care when you are making your delivery plan in the classroom. So it is very important to understand that how, what kind of approach should be there. Okay, there are certain content component of the learning which can be based on the visual mode. Something can be done on the like quality management. You can share a lot of videos in the classrooms which are freely available on the YouTube. So, okay, like say quality management, you can just go to the YouTube and search for that. There's a series there called the Mega Factory series. Okay, how in the mega factories in the world, what kind of quality management process they follow. You can go for the Boeing, you can go for the Airbus, you can go for the Mercedes-Benz car, you can go for the Coca-Cola, Pepsi-Cola plant, you can go for the Siemens, you can go for all, there are around 16, 17 companies, video portfolios are there. Okay, you can show them, you can cut the video to a short, because most of the videos are 45 minutes and above. You can just identify which are the areas you want to share with the students. You can cut the video, software is available, and do it and show it in the classroom. Use it as a video case study in the classroom, like that. Okay, so this is very important. Now there are a lot of things can be done. I'll be speaking maybe another 5 minutes more, not more than that. So already I've told that different learning styles are preferred by different type of learner students. So you have to be understood that, okay, there are visual learning, the verbal learning, the oral learning, the physical learning, the logical learning, the social learning, the solitary learning. So when you go for this kind of different learning style, you have to understand in your course document, you have to understand, you have to decide it properly, that it is very important for the international programs or even the domestic programs also. We talk about business schools or the universities or the engineering courses also. This is teaching documents. So when you talk about the visual learning, so which are the particular concepts or the course components will be delivering to the visual one. You talk about the verbal learning. The verbal learning is a discussion and the debate and the presentation. Which part of the learning outcomes will be covering through this? It is very possible that you can say go for the same kind of, say you have picked up learning outcome 1, which can be taught through the visual learning, also through the verbal learning, also through the oral learning. It is very common. It can happen. Mention that thing. And when you're talking about the oral learning, so videos means what kind of videos? If you can get the link of the videos from the free sources or open sources or from different things. So this will make the student even ready, mentally ready or the prepared, okay, when you are going to deliver your classes. Okay, even if you miss something also, maybe the shortage of time, it is very common because nowadays faculties are doing a lot of things in the universities and the colleges. I know that very well. Personally, I have to do a lot of things. Okay, now, but in that case, you can just, if you cannot, because due to the shortage of time, maybe you are going to complete your syllabus, what you say in India. Okay, now in that case, you might not be able to show the videos, but the video links are there. You can just say there in the class, okay, go to the video number so and so, which is very important. Okay, you will be following for this course. You can submit a report on that also and give the certain deadline and certain marks on that. So this can be done. Physical learning, hand-on learning, which is very common in management, science and material science, physical science, biological science, engineering, everywhere. Okay, so this is a way you can entirely map your course, you can entirely design your delivery plan and all those things, which definitely is required, an important part of that your accreditation and other things actually internationally. Okay, now when you talk about the certain skills which have to be developed, like study skills, critical thinking, agile thinking, and behavioral skills, so these are some of the very important parts which are most important component of the developing a student. So when a student is joining your course on the very first day, after 3 months or 4 months or 1 trimester or semester, the student is coming out of the course, completing the entire thing, then what exactly the student is is learning, what kind of transformation of the changes students, not only in terms of their knowledge, but also about their critical thing, whether your course has encouraged them to think critically. Okay, you are giving them a problem about a marketing thing, about an HR, about a finance, about some other things. So let them think critically. It is not only a straight question answer portion. Okay, let them think, oh, this is a problem they are facing and what kind of solution you can develop. Case study can be used. You can give them simple case slates. You can give them some hypothetical situation. Everything can be given. But when you are giving anything, the critical thinking component must be there. Agile thinking. Now, agile thinking is something which is very important, where you are talking about development of the agility. Agility basically means flexibility. You all know that thing. Okay. Now, how we can find out different options to find out the solutions of the problem, or how we can make something better through the different routes, and which is the most preferred route, or something like that. Talking about the behavioral skills and the competence, which is very important. Now, after completing a particular subject, a particular course, what kind of ethical competence, emotional competence, cross-cultural competence, or any other sort of competence which can be developed by the learner. Keep in mind when you are developing your course and course offering. When you are delivering the course also in the classroom, so definitely it can be done also in a better way. Okay. So there are different things we follow. Just quickly, I'm showing you the Bloom's taxonomy, because Bloom's taxonomy is widely used in industry, in higher education now. So if you go for the Bloom's taxonomy, it is based on the approach of the assessment, the approach of the class course delivery, the learning outcomes of different levels, like talk about the remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and the create. All these things are there. But definitely remember is the first thing, which is the very minimum level of when you basically focus on remembering some concepts and theories. Understand means not only remembering that thing, understanding the concept. Say you are teaching somebody as talk about the human resource planning. Remember, what is this thing? What are the different techniques used for the human resource planning? But when you talk about the understanding talking about different concepts and the practices you are saying, you are trying to articulate all these things in the concept of real life application, understanding that kind of thing. Apply talking about, when talking about understanding, then apply, how to apply all these things. This is a way you can go to the top, and your learning outcomes, your assessment plan, your course delivery plan, everything can be related to it. Okay. It is not proper that Bloom's taxonomy is 100% correct. No, nothing like that, because it's a model only. But we can follow, and we can develop our own orientation and something like that to make our class learning and delivery program more applicable, more application oriented, something like that. It's a purely cognitive oriented. Okay. So you understand the meaning of cognition, many of you. Okay, like that. So this is the way we can go for. This is a scientific way of teaching learning. Challenges are involved nowadays. So to develop the entire thing, to develop the entire concept, that's why when you go for a particular course delivery plan or something like that, the more important part is that, see, you are talking about how to develop the entire course portfolio, and in that, how you can develop this kind of thing, how you can implement all these things in a proper way. So these are the different things. Okay. So I'm not taking much of time, because I have to go outside also. So almost 45 minutes I've spoken. So thank you so much. If anybody wants to ask me any question quickly, I'll be able to answer if I can. Otherwise, they can send me by email and something like that. So thank you so much. And I am thinking that, so this is perfectly fine. So anybody wants to do it actually. So anybody, any other questions, something like that, it will be done. Thank you so much.
So thank you, Doctor, for that informative session. If there are any questions, you could raise your hand and have your questions addressed, or you can drop it in the chat box and the doctor would be happy to address your questions. Yes, any questions are welcome. Okay, we have Dr. Mayuri Barman who has raised her hand. Doctor, you can go ahead and have your query or any question, anything. You can even post it in the chat box. So yes, the participants who've raised your hands, kindly please put your questions up in the chat box so that it's easy to follow. Yes, Dr. Imran Anwar Ujan, please post your question in the chat box so that we could have it addressed. Yes, we are waiting on the participants who would like to have their questions presented to the session, please. So yes, doctor, so we have the question from Dr. Imran. So how was the difference engineering education and science education? So he's asked the question of what is the difference between that. So doctor, you can go ahead in answering it.
Okay. So though I'm not from engineering background, but I'm still, I can tell you a few things. One is that see, engineering education, or say engineering education is more prone to say course mapping and all those things. It's very easier nowadays, because even in India also courses like IMACI or IEEE, all these kind of international bodies are there in India also. Now, when you are going for this, which are mostly linked to making your courses, making your curriculum in education, because in our university also, our programs also, we have this kind of mapping with the engineering courses in mechanical engineering, in say electrical engineering or computer science engineering, like that. Okay, so it is in engineering discipline, definitely it is more easier to map your courses according to the industry requirements. You go for the science disciplines. Science disciplines definitely the fundamental of the engineering education, because without a basic understanding of the science, nobody can study engineering. It's a very common thing, everybody knows that. But yes, still in science education, there are still that number of associations or the organizations may be less. Say, because when you go for the applied science, definitely it's there. When you are going for the pure science, it's not that much. Okay, there are different universities follow a certain basic standards. Like suppose when you are studying BSc physics, BSc honors in physics in one university in North India or one university in South India, the course curriculum are almost same. Okay, but the problem is that what is your objective basically? When the students go for the science education, their ultimate objective is that to encourage the research and all those things. When you go for the engineering, it is more employment oriented, like in industry when they're working, in company they're working, like that. So there is a fundamental difference between the both. Definitely it is not far away from each other. So that's a major thing we are telling you. Okay, and definitely I do not know, I'm not aware about the professional bodies that much about the say in the pure science education. Okay, it might be there. It might be there. Universities can go for the international collaborations while designing their programs with top-notch universities offering the specific science program. Suppose you want to redesign your course with in mathematics, so what kind of new things you can incorporate there in your different levels. I mean, bachelor's degree or master's degree or whatever. Okay, you can find out the best of the breed, like that. Say, and you can talk to them. You can develop your course. Definitely, that will make your course more enriched and something like that. Which is in the engineering education, which is much more easier, because there are a lot of professional bodies are there abroad in India also. Okay, they're working very well. They're coming out with their course planning. They're coming out with the learning planning, all the things. So you can go for that, and they know how to the different kind of tests and experiments and all these things in the industry engineering education. So it is very common. I think there's a basic difference. Scope of the engineering education, as it is a professional course, it's much more better, higher. Okay, and in the pure science or all this thing, might be little less, but scope is always there. Okay, and any other question?
Yes, we have another question posted in the chat box. So this is by Dr. Mayuri Barman. So Bloom's taxonomy, how can we apply in art stream like philosophy? So her question is how to apply the Bloom's taxonomy in an art stream like philosophy, for example.
Okay. See, when you talk about mainly Bloom's taxonomy can be applied in any discipline. Okay, it's nothing like that. It's only for the management or something like that. So Bloom's taxonomy can be, because it's a basic fundamental thing that how you are going for the assessment and the course delivery. If you look at the Bloom's taxonomy, it is starting with the it is purely about the learning orientation. Okay. So when you talk about remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, create, and something like that. Okay. The remembrance means, when you're talking about something in mind or remembering something, say you teach some concept in the class, philosophy might be having different, completely conceptual thing. I understand that. Okay. Then when you talk about definitely from the philosophy nowadays works in different application side also. because when we talk about the ethical behavior, or so many things are there where philosophy has some contribution also. But talking about, when you talk about the remembrance means basically you are teaching certain concepts to the students and you are evaluating them, asking them to develop certain basic understanding. Talking about understand means when you are talking about remembrance, I mean, understanding that thing is basically how you can understand, how you can develop their understanding, their way of interpretation. Because when you talk about philosophy, basically you are thinking the people, I mean, they do it. Okay. And understanding means when from different perspectives and angles people can understand something. When you talk about the application side, this might be you know better than me, because how the philosophical concept that students are taught to apply, how they can apply these concepts in different areas. Maybe it is not the real life practical application like we talk about the engineering or management education, but it's purely about application of this in the area of, say, certain other related areas, or in the same subject, or in the advancement of the furthest of the subject. Maybe you're talking, teaching them something very fundamental. We're talking how to apply these fundamental concepts of philosophy in the advanced level of philosophical research and thinking like that. We talk about analyze. Analyze basically means, when you talk about analysis, it's talking about the pros and cons, talking about different aspects which are very difficult or so easy, something like that. Evaluate and create. Okay, from the say lot of concepts actually which are being seen. Purely academic side, if you take it, you're talking about only few things. So when you talk about the economics also, there are a lot of economics theories. We talk about the political economy. We talk about so many things which are actually philosophy basically. Okay, there's a philosophical concept, practical concept. We're talking about different things. You talk about certain ethical sides. You talk about certain alienation, different things you know better than me, because I'm not from philosophy. So you understand that. So how to get the new concept, how to get an understanding of the overall concept like that. Bloom's taxonomy is something which is a very fundamental way of teaching and learning process, okay, which can be applied with definitely, it's not nothing a rigid one. Remember that thing always. It's actually from the very bottom or the very fundamental one to the highest level, how we can say use this particular concept in teaching and learning, in assessing the students' work, in assessing the students' learning, in taking giving the feedback and all these things. So it can be used definitely in its own way. Okay, it's not like that. So the way I am using the Bloom's taxonomy in business management, the same way you will be using philosophy or in political science or in geography like that. No, nothing like that. Okay, it can be used in your own way. That's more important. You have to understand like that. Okay. Yes.
Yes, doctor, thank you. And so there are two questions, and I would like to club it as one question for you to answer it in an easy way. So the first part of the question is, how do you motivate the engineering students to attend the class? And the second part of the question is, how can you apply Bloom's taxonomy in engineering domain, and how can we use it to map the pros and cons in engineering domain?
Okay, in engineering education, Bloom's taxonomy is widely used. Okay, I know it very well. Okay, because in our campus or everywhere, it's very important. Same way I have told just to the previous speaker that because engineering education is purely application based. Definitely, there are certain components which are conceptual thing, but mostly application based. So please follow that particular line. As I shown you that the different levels, 5, 6, 7, say the levels. Okay, Bloom's taxonomy can be widely used. You can design your courses. You can design your course component delivery plan as well as your assessment plan like that. It may done definitely. Okay, you may go for little bit adjustments or readjustments in the steps. It is fine. Okay, but apart from that, you can talk about the other question was that, so how to encourage the students to attend the classes. Okay, like that. Okay, the faculty has a very important role in encouraging the students to attend the classes. That's very important. Okay, because if your faculty is very boring and come and take the classes, faculty himself or herself is not motivated, how the students will be motivated? That's very important. First of all, and second thing is this: see, make certain components in your delivery plan. You can go for, first of all, a very important thing I'm telling you. Say the students are joining engineering courses in India or many other parts of the world like that. Say without having a fair idea which particular course they're fit for. Okay, maybe somebody has the interest in some other particular discipline in engineering, but has been given admission in computer science because it's that better job possibility. So counseling is very important. Then secondly, definitely employment prospects and other things. Okay, you have to generate their interest in the class. That's a very important thing. Interest means interest in their learning, interest in their way of teaching, in your way of teaching, interest in the way of say, because teaching is a profession where you are just going and taking in the class, giving lectures and taking in the lab and something like that. Ultimately, they do not know why they are doing it actually in many cases. Okay, that's very important. So make it more engaging class. Something very important. Okay, how to so there are different ways to engage the students. First of all, you start with taking the right students for the right course. Then secondly, the faculty itself or himself or herself should be more motivated. Okay, thirdly, the course curriculum must be very much they should develop some kind of interest in the course. Invite the guest faculties from outside, from the industry, take them more and more industry visit, ask them to join the competitions, because in my country where I'm staying presently in UAE, a lot of competitions happened actually, and these are being funded by different organizations, government bodies and something like that. Okay, ask them to join and participate from their way. I'm telling simple example, like say from our electrical engineering department, the students recently participated, I think just 1 month back, it was Dubai Expo, which was finished right now. Now the Dubai Expo, they had the big competition about say how to develop the renewable and sustainable energy, something like that. So the students are joining that particular thing. You pick up all those things, do some internal contest and competition in the campus, find out the best models, find out the best solutions. Okay, develop a spirit of the competition and send them the best team to the competition, and they will win something. They will not only bring glory to themselves but also to your campus. Okay, so this is the way. Okay, and definitely there are different ways that make the teaching learning process more interesting. That's very important. As I said, it's not only going and lecturing in the class, something like that. Okay, because engineering is the course where teaching learning should be more intense. Okay, it is nothing like just going in the class and giving a lecture and showing some PPT and something like that. No, nothing like that. I think there's a lot of ways you can increase the interest of the students. Not 100% students can be motivated, definitely, but at least even 80% or 90% is motivated. It's a success story actually.
Yeah, doctor, thank you for that. So the next question that we have is, how do you set question papers based on the Bloom's taxonomy? And also it talks about how do you determine learning outcomes as well.
Okay, these things are actually decided. We definitely come with the learning outcomes and the Bloom's taxonomy, all these things we do. We have a very strong quality framework in our university, not only our university, almost all UK universities. Okay, and it's a part of the quality framework, and there the university itself and the UK, like I know the Manchester University, Manchester is there, Wolverhampton is there, Awards is there, a lot of West London is there, almost everywhere. They have said there in their course planning map, they have their specific learning outcomes. They already said when you send it to us. Definitely based on learning outcomes, how to make the assessment criteria, and like I just told you, the pass, merit and distinction, all those things. Okay, we decide that thing. Definitely they give us some guidelines. They send us some not for every course. When they're starting a new course, definitely they send a new thing. They ask for the feedback from our side also, because we are the international campus. We are not based in UK, we are based in UAE. We are offering the UK program. So what kind of thing can be done at our side? So we give them the feedback. But ultimately, for the international programs, they develop certain kind of say course mapping and all these things. Okay, we do it actually. It is a wonderful thing. It's very easy actually. It is very easy. And once you do it actually, it is a very simple thing. And the learning outcomes are decided by them. They have the very strong internal quality assurance department. They do all these things because it is marked with it is linked to the actually say the Ofqual, Office of the Qualifications of the UK government, and in our university system, UK system. Now in Ofqual talks about disrupting. Ofqual means they, before approving any particular course, the thing is this, in the UK university system, in many cases, university is not only approved, every course is approved separately. Okay, maybe you are planning to start a engineering management program. So this course has to be approved by the Ofqual. Otherwise, you cannot offer this particular course. So your university is approved. Now, unlike India means you are going to start a program. Yes, definitely we know for the law program, we have that Bar Council of India, all other things are there. But for if you are planning for something new course under the law curriculum, maybe you are planning for a master's degree or a diploma program on, say, the patent law, something like, take example, international arbitration law, so separately. So that course also has to be approved by the Ofqual. So when Ofqual is being sent, Office of Qualifications, they look all these things actually from there. And ultimately, when they approve it, only we can go. So while in the approval process, a lot of things we have to do. So that is the way, that's why the learning outcomes and all these things and things have been done. You're talking about the Bloom's taxonomy. When you go for the bachelor's degree, first year, certain levels we follow, like they may be remember only. Okay. Second one, we talk about the understanding. Third one, so the understanding will be the main focus of our entire assessment plan, course delivery, and like that thing. Okay. Third one, something. Fourth one, something like that. This is the way we do it actually.
All right, thank you, sir, and thank you for answering the questions that have been presented in the chat box. So on that note, I would like to post the feedback link on the chat box for everyone. So you could take a few minutes of your time to fill out the feedback. So the feedback link has been shared in the chat box. You could kindly mail your feedback to the mail ID that I have sent in the chat box. Kindly mail your feedback to that, and we will be sure to compile it. And in the meanwhile, as everyone is mailing your feedback to us, I would like to give the motion today. I believe it was a very informative as well as a knowledgeable session. And on behalf of IFERP, I would like to heartily thank all of the delegates and the students who have joined us today. I would like to extend my gratitude to our esteemed speaker, Dr. Indranil Bose, for delivering the keynote address. And I would also like to inform that all of you could download your e-certificate on the IFERP dashboard. And I would like to take this opportunity to announce to you about our upcoming Scopus conferences that we are holding. So on the 26th and 27th, we are having a virtual international conference on communication, computing, and industrial engineering. 27 and 28, a virtual international conference on frontiers in engineering, management, and science. 29th and 30th is a hybrid international conference on communication systems, AIP Scopus. 19th and 20th, the virtual second international conference on advanced computing and communication technology. 21st and 22nd is the hybrid international conference on physical science and technology. So I would like to also tell all of you that please do go through our websites as well. They also have a very updated calendar of all the events that is present there. And we also have a faculty development program that is happening on April 26th on Tuesday from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. on intellectual property rights, bridging the gap from research to innovation. Kindly join us also for this wonderful session. And once again, I would like to tell all of you, thank you again for today's session and for your participation. On that note, good day and take care to one and all of you.